Welcome back, friends. Today we're going to tackle one of my least favorite things to do, and that's cleaning magazines. I really enjoy cleaning my guns, working on my guns, find it therapeutic, but cleaning magazines, not so much. As you can see, we've got plenty to do here. We've got 5 Ruger 1022 magazines. We've got a couple out of my Walther we got to deal with, and tonight we're going to concentrate on the 1022. Now, when I'm working on guns, I don't know about y'all, but I open up the old Hoppy's number 9, also known as the redneck incense, because it's just not really, doesn't feel like you're working on guns unless you, unless you get the old Hoppy smell going. Great stuff. You know, in some parts of the country, you might be able to dab that, you know, on your neck a little bit and get some women running towards you. They might not have any teeth, but that's just part of the game. So let me show you how this Ruger 1022 mag comes apart and goes back together. These things work really great, 10 round rotary style, but being a semi-automatic and being a 22, it just gets dirty and nasty and just doesn't work after a while. You might be able to get by sometimes. Usually the culprit is dirt underneath these feed lips. Take a brush, turn this thing upside down, give it a little scrub both ways. You know, blow it out, and that might get you by, but eventually this puppy's got to come apart. It's real easy to do. Even a moron can do it, as I will demonstrate. You only need 1 wrench, a 9/64 Allen. Put it in the end back here, and keep your finger over on this end here, because it is going to separate. And pull out. You can call this the axle, you can call it the spindle, whatever you want. And then as this separates, you're going to feel just a little bit of tension on the spring, and just let it rotate, and off comes your end cap, and there's your nut. Only 7 pieces to this whole assembly. We're only going to deal with 6 tonight. There's your feed lips, rotor, main body. The spring is captured in there. If you really feel anal and you got to take it out and clean it, corresponds this little hole. You can pry that out and pull it out. It's not a big deal. Then what you want to do is get you a rag. It's Ballistol, CLP, whatever your favorite thing is. I would not recommend solvent because we're dealing with plastic parts. CLP will work just fine. Clean all this stuff up, give it a good wipe down. Pay special attention to these feed lips. I usually take some CLP on my brush, and I get underneath these edges right here where a lot of stuff tends to accumulate on both sides. Scrub it down really good, and then what's really important is you want to make sure you get this all wiped off and get it perfectly clean. Then go back over it with a Q-tip. Make sure you get in every single nook and cranny and crevice and everything, because you want these things to run dry. If it gets wet, the 22 is already, you know, kind of a filthy round, and it's just gonna attract that oil's just going to attract more dirt and grime, and you're just going to have a big mess. So in the interest of time, I've already got one cleaned up, and we're just going to put it back together, kind of like the way we took it apart. Got your body all nice and clean. Going to take our spindle, put it in the back, put your finger there and hold it in place. Take your rotor. Don't worry too much about where this larger vein goes, because it's going to find its home here in just a minute. I'll show you. The feed lips. One end has a large fat post, one end has a skinny post. Like I say, it only goes together one way. You got a corresponding fat hole over here on the back of the body. Set your feed lips in there. Take your end cap here off the front. It's only going to go on one way, corresponds that small hole. And then you have everything back together. Use 2 fingers here to keep it together. Then take your nut, and you'll notice there's a little bitty piece of that spring sticking out, and it corresponds to a very small hole in this nut. It will capture itself in that hole, and you'll use this nut to wind up the spring tension. So if you want to try and stab it in here as you start, that's fine, but don't obsess about it, because it's going to find its way after you turn it a few times, just like it did there. Once it connects, it's going to be almost up at the 12 o'clock position, And so just turn it there, and what I've done, you can see we're at the top flat here, 12 o'clock. I took a Sharpie and put a mark right there on the nut. The proper tension on this is 1 1/4 winds or 8 flats. That'll be flats of this nut. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And so I put another mark here at the 4 o'clock position. So now you're gonna just simply wind this. Now you can try to do this with your fingers. Sometimes you might need some needle nose. We'll see if we can do it with our fingers first. And it doesn't look like I can. So I'm gonna use my needle nose. You can actually buy a tool for this, but I think it's kind of worthless. So we're gonna start back here at 12 o'clock, wind the body. And when you get back over here to 4 o'clock where you need to be, then you just simply push it in place. Hold it in place and go to the back. Get your wrench, tighten up the spindle. That's all you got to do. Now if you want to make sure you got this right, take your wrench, take whatever, and just push down on that vein, and you're going to have tension. And then you're ready to go. That's all you got to do for your Ruger 10/22 magazine. Just remember, clean magazine is a happy magazine. So there you go, folks. Let me know what you think. You got any ideas, better way to do this, or any kind of tricks or schemes you got going with the Ruger 10/22 magazine. So until next time, you guys be safe, and we hope to see you out on the range. Adios.